You are welcome here. You are welcome here. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Ventura Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Reverend Bonnie Rose. It's great to see you here today, and thank you so much for joining us. And also thank you to the folks that are watching us online. And I'm going to pass the word over to Lonnie, our board president.
Good morning, everyone. Well, not only do we have an amazing message and music, but we have our annual meeting after the service. So,
that was so enthusiastic, y'all. Thank you.
We'll try to spice it up, but
Yeah.
I do hope that you'll stay and join us because it gives you an opportunity to just recognize the amazing things that we do here in the center and that you're a part of.
Yay.
So settle in and let's have some fun this morning.
All righty. Thank you, Lonnie. And then where is she? There's Miss Susie Thatcher and Kennedy. Hi. Good to see you, cutie. Good morning. Good morning.
I'm going to bring Kennedy with me. You know, she's so shy. We're going to start our morning. I'm going to ask Kennedy if, and I will ask you later, if you had a magic wand, what would you wish for?
I'd wish for everyone to be happy.
Aww,
there you go.
Good one.
That covers a lot, doesn't it? So what we're going to talk about today, we're going to tell the story of the tortoise and the hare and the difference between the two and whether quick and clever or slow and steady, which one wins the race? Maybe there isn't even a race to win. Maybe it's two different ways of approaching your life. I'm going to start with a little quote about confidence. I'm confident because I acknowledge who I am, what I've accomplished, and I love myself for who I've become. So I want to remind you that the only one who decides your worth is you. It doesn't come from what you own. It doesn't come from how many friends you have or from what someone says about you, including yourself. It's called self-worth for a reason. It comes from you. Confidence comes from being yourself and feeling proud of who you are. It comes from being someone you can count on and someone who feels proud of what you are. It comes from being someone you love. Outside things are going to change, maybe on a minute-to-minute basis, but it doesn't change who we are inside. You continue to shine in creativity, in strength, in capability, in beauty. You are limitless. And this is where your self-worth lives. So, just like I asked Kennedy, I want you to close your eyes for a minute. If you had a magic wand, what would you wish for?
Wish for something good.
Kennedy says to wish for something good. Good being the relative term. And now, imagine you could be your own favorite superhero. What would you do? What would you do, Kennedy?
What would I do?
If you were a superhero.
I'd make everyone happy.
You hear a consistent theme here this morning? As Mother Teresa reminds us, I'm going to wrap up by reminding you and reminding myself, not all of us will go on to do great things, but each of us can do small things with great love. Thank you.
Thank you, Susie.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kennedy. And let's have a word of prayer from our practitioner today, Kathy. Thank you.
Will the practitioners and practitioners in training please stand and support this prayer? Just knowing there is but one life. That life is God's life. That life is joy, creativity. That life is unity, peace, love. And I know of those qualities I am one with. All that is love, joy, peace. And as I know this and much more for myself, I know this for each and every one of us here in the sanctuary, at home, listening live or on a recorded message, just knowing that today is truly blessed, knowing that this service is so inspirational. Reverend Bonnie's words are inspired and inspire each of us, knowing that the inspiration from the choir just flows through us, and that those ripples that we have from our receiving the message also ripples out to those who we touch. And it just continues in that great flow. Just so grateful for today. I'm so grateful for this center. I'm so grateful for Reverend Bonnie for just how amazing all of this comes together. And with a full and grateful heart, I release these words into the majesty of the law, knowing they are already so. And together we say,
And so it is. Thank you. Where Kathy brought us with her wise words. And just continue to breathe deeply, to trust and to know the presence and the power of the living one that is inside us, that is sitting to the right and to the left of us, that is sitting in front of us and behind us, that is omnipresent everywhere. And as we breathe in and breathe out, we trust and we know that love is here in this room. And so we know that as we listen to the words of our sacred reading.
Come Home to Love by Rick Hansen. Take a deep breath right now. And notice how abundant the air is, full of life-giving oxygen offered freely by trees and other green-growing things. You can't see the air, but it's always available for you. Love is a lot like the air. It may be hard to see, but it's in you and all around you. In the press of life, dealing with hassles in personal relationships and bombarded with news of war and other conflicts, it's easy to lose sight of love and feel you can't place your faith in it. But in fact, to summarize a comment from Gandhi, daily life is saturated with moments of cooperation and generosity between complete strangers, let alone with one's friends and family. Love is woven into your day because it's woven into your DNA. As our ancestors evolved over the last several million years, many scientists believe that love, broadly defined, has been the primary driving force behind the evolution of the brain. Bands of early humans that were particularly good at understanding and caring for each other outcompeted less cooperative and loving bands, and thereby passed on the genes of empathy, bonding, friendship, altruism, romance, compassion, and kindness. The genes, in a word, of love. Nonetheless, even though the resting state of your brain, its home base, when you are not stressed, in pain, or feeling threatened, is grounded in love, it's all too easy to be driven from home by something as small as a critical comment at a business meeting or a frown across a dinner table. Then we go off into a kind of inner homelessness, exiled for a time from our natural abode, caught up in the fear or anger that makes love seem like a mostly forgotten dream. After a while, this can become the new normal, so we call homelessness home, like becoming habituated to breathing shallowly and forgetting the richness of the air that would be available if we would only breathe deeply. So we need to come home to love, to recognize and have confidence in the love in your own heart, which will energize and protect you even when you must also be assertive with others, to see and have faith in the love in others, even when it is veiled or it comes out in problematic ways, to trust in love that's as present as air, to trust in loving that's as natural as breathing.
And so let us trust in love as we go deeper and grow deeper. We breathe in and we breathe out, and we feel the love of the air that surrounds us and fills us. And together as we sing, I am remembering who I am, we remember love. We remember the love that we are And we remember the love that is every being here in the universe. Everything animate, everything inanimate. It is the stars, the sun, the sky, the entire cosmos. And so as we sing for ourselves, because there is only one of us here, we sing for everything. We sing for the entire universe and beyond. Together, let us sing, I am remembering who I am. 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 I am remembering. I am remembering. I am remembering who I am. I am remembering who And may divine love carry us through the beautiful time that we have here together this morning. And in that spirit, let us breathe in deeply. And then exhale, opening our eyes as love, in service to what is, as it is, and so it is.
By day or by night.
did the arrangement. Where's he at? Oh, there he is. Yay, Ted. Thank you. Thank you. You know, it was really hard for me to step back from the choir, and today was particularly hard because I love singing a Ted Matthews arrangement. I just love them. They're so great. So thank you. All right, so today has 4 principles of love and action, okay? And we're talking about this, number one, because as many of you know, I have just gotten back from India. Not just, it's been like a month and I'm still all India'd up, okay? But, you know, there are a lot of things going on in the world, things that seem unloving. That's why there's that picture of the globe with all the question marks. It's like, what do we do? It seems like a typical human response to some of what seems unloving or seems unjust or unfair or even natural disasters or what have you is to get angry. So that's why we have the happy face. It doesn't look very happy there in the center. So I'm here today with all of you to question that, to question whether or not anger really is the appropriate response. Anger, outrage, disdain, any of those things. Today, as I was getting ready for church, I was looking, opened up my browser, and the first headline that I read is that people are upset because of Minnie Mouse's ears. Has anyone heard that story? I read it. I still can't figure out what's wrong with Minnie Mouse's ears, but I think it's a sexist thing. I don't get it. I didn't understand the article at all, but it seems like perhaps people are looking for reasons to be upset, I would say, based on that. And there are some real reasons to be upset, so I'm not trying to be dismissive of anything that really is difficult and tragic in the world, okay? But anyway, I want to talk a little bit about 4 principles of love and also a new way of being an activist in the world. So Richard Rohr talks about an alternative orthodoxy, meaning that it's a type of orthodoxy that is not particularly orthodox in terms of the typical Catholic Christian church, okay? What I'm speaking about today is an alternative activism, which is also unorthodox in terms of the way that many of us do approach activism. There have been great luminaries in terms of approaching activism or changing the world, such as Drs. Martin Luther King and Dr. Howard Thurman, Gandhi, Nelson Mandela. I didn't have a big enough room for the list, but there are people that are doing things from a very heart-centered place that I think is going to work. And that's why I'm talking about this. It's like, you know, I understand outrage, I understand anger, I feel it myself, and yet projecting that outward, I understand the causes and I understand why people are upset, but the way that we're addressing it, I just don't think it's going to be effective in the long run. And neither did Gandhi. Gandhi was a huge proponent of nonviolent civil disobedience, and civil, emphasis on civil, being civilized about it, being kind about it, being loving about it. And as many of you know, and I'm hopefully one of my spiritual mentors, Nipun Mehta, is coming to the church. I'm hoping in August. I'm going to knock on wood, even though it's a suspicion or a superstition. If anyone wants to knock on wood with me, if you would like to see that. Oh, good, I hear that. Anyway, I'm thinking he's coming in April, possibly. Nipun Mehta, who is the founder of Service Space, which is an organization that is dedicated towards creating greater love and kindness and compassion in the world. That's a picture of Nipun and his wife, Gauri. He is also a big proponent of another type of activism called heartivism. That's why I'm wearing a T-shirt that says Heartivist. And on the back of the T-shirt, I don't know if you can see it, and I'm going to try and do this without shaking myself here, but it says, "We can gently shake the world." But okay, just a little, okay. And that's a quote from Gandhi, that we can gently shake the world, all right? So, now I want to give you a little context for heartivism. It's to be, and this is very much based in Gandhian principles, but it might mirror other teachings that we have heard as well, such as Buddhism, such as mystical Christianity. Okay, so one of the main tenets of heartivism is that we lead by inner transformation. I also put in there, and be led by inner transformation, because our inner transformation requires self-leadership. It requires us to change ourselves first. Change ourselves, change the world. So to lead by inner transformation doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be the leader of something, the leader of an organization, the leader of an activism group, the leader of anything. It means lead yourself. Lead yourself by the desire for inner transformation. Change yourself, change the world. It's also knowing that there is no small in infinity. Small and large are relative terms, right? So a small act of kindness can be a huge act of kindness in this language of infinity. And the other thing is to start where you are. So many people express futility about the condition of the world because they can't fix it all. But just if we start where we are, if we start with our own relationships, if we start mostly with our relationship with ourselves, then the world starts to mirror that which we are instilling within ourselves. And the world becomes a better place as we change our insides. As we change our insides, the outsides change. Start where you are. Another context from this Gandhiism business is that I've been teaching this book called The Hidden Gospel, which is a translation in Aramaic of the Gospels. It's based on a translation of an Aramaic, Sufi Aramaic Jewish teacher named, what's his name, Kathy Walker? Neil Douglas Klotz. Thank you, yeah. Just to like play this joke one more time, she called him Dean Koontz by accident. That's in a prayer, but anyway. I'm sorry, I can't stop teasing you about it. I just can't stop, okay? Anyway, Neil Douglas Klotz is his name, and what I call the 4 paradoxes of Jesus. It may not really be paradoxes, but it's definitely counterintuitive responses to what we would normally do. Like, would we normally love our enemies? Maybe not. So it's love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that harm you, and then the last one was too long for my slide, so I just said pray for big meanies, okay? It's really pray for those who persecute you, and what's the other part of it? Use you despitefully and persecute you. Yes, thank you. Let's just keep it pray for big meanies, okay? All right. So we discussed this in class the other day, and the response, there was a large range of responses. Some people were like, okay, yeah, that sounds like a plan. Others were like, huh? Others were like, do I have to? And there were a few that were like, no way, I can't do that, okay? But maybe we can stretch ourselves into at least looking and seeing if we can just take a small step in that direction. We don't have to do it all at once. You don't have to love the worst person in the world right at once. Just start with the neighbor that's ticking you off, okay? Okay, so that, another challenge that we're up against is that I believe that those 4 things reduce us to 0, which is something that Gandhi said. And that's another thing where we get a big, I don't want to reduce myself to 0. I don't want to be 0. I want to be something. I want to be everything. I want to have meaning in the world. But the meaning of reduce yourself to 0 is mirrored in Zen and other forms of Buddhism, means that most of our spiritual work is about subtraction, not addition. Right? Also, when I was in college, I used to sit around with a bunch of Christians and we'd sing this song that went, Jesus, reduce me to love. Jesus, reduce me to love. Wow, that's a great phrase, right? And then another phrase. I was on a call with some folks from my trip to India yesterday, a long call with about 45 people, and one of the men said, I feel like I've had surgery. And simultaneously, he said, I've had open heart surgery. And I said, I think I'm undergoing a partial egoectomy. Notice I said partial, okay? It still rears up. And by the way, I want to say that we don't dismiss the ego. We don't try and annihilate the ego. The ego is important too. How would you load your dishwasher without the ego, right? The ego likes to sort. You'd be putting the forks up where the dishes go, where the glasses go, and that just wouldn't work. You'd be driving on the wrong side of the road. You'd be backing into your neighbor's car. Oh, wait, that was me. Yeah. Open heart surgery, partial egoectomy. Reducing ourselves to 0. I believe it was Brother Chris Kimbler who quoted, what show was it? Schoolhouse Rock, who said that there is a song called Zero is a Hero. 0 is a hero. As we've learned recently in church, 0 is another name for everything, because when you add up all of the positive numbers and all of the negative numbers, it adds up to what? 0. Thank you, people. Hallelujah. It adds up to 0. So even if you weren't in church, you know math, right? It adds up to 0. And so 0 contains everything. Another way of thinking about 0 is that 0 disempowers the ego. And again, we keep the ego. The ego is still an important part of our lives, but it doesn't have to be in the driver's seat, does it? Sometimes allowing the ego to be in the driver's seat is like giving a 2-year-old a set of car keys and saying, hey, knock yourself out. Go get your own snack. Go get your own Fruit Loops, okay? And what I've noticed about becoming zero, on the times that I'm able to do it, the times that because I've been working on it a lot, I've been telling most of you about this process of renunciation that I'm doing, where I'm doing my best to renounce disdain, renounce feelings of unworthiness, renounce feelings of rejection, renouncing all these things that get in the way of me shining my true light. When I go into that place of renunciation and I'm finding more of a zero in myself, what I find is that the people who seem to be against me, the people who seem to be attacking me, that there's nothing there for them to attack. When I'm zero, it's like they're punching at air, or they're punching at love, which just loves them back. The reason I have the bandit, the masked bandit on the screen there is to remind us of that story where moving pictures first came out. And when it first came out in a Western town and the bandits came onto the screen, people were carrying guns back then, and they pulled out their guns and they started shooting at the bandits. But they weren't really shooting at anything. And when I am zero, or close to zero, maybe a 2 instead of a 3002, it feels like when people push me, when people push at me, it just goes right through me. And when that happens, they're either healed by love or they go and try and push on somebody else. But knowing that the non-reactivity ultimately helps others, ultimately helps the people that seem to be against us in some way. So Gandhi spoke about four pillars of heartivism. And by the way, Nipun, this is a word from Nipun Metta, heartivist or heartivism. They are, here I go, Swaraj, Satyagraha, Ahimsa, and Sarvodaya, okay? I struggle sometimes. Okay, so anyway, Swaraj, that means self-rule. Now, in terms of looking at Gandhi's history with India, many people think that it means self-rule, meaning that the Indian people were able to overcome the British government, the British Empire, and rule themselves. But really, there's a more subtle definition of it, and that is working on the self, ruling ourself. Looking at our values and letting our values be our leaders, leading by inner transformation, as I said before. Making choices that are actually supporting our values, even if it involves sacrifice, personal sacrifice, and the disapproval of others. I'll give you a really simple example. Anyone know what this movie is? Miracle on 34th Street. Thank you so much. Someday I'll put a modern movie up there when I see one, but I'll put one up there that, anyway, but that's Miracle on 34th Street. And one of my favorite scenes in that movie, I haven't seen it for years, but I loved it when Santa Claus, when little kids would come and sit on his lap, and he was working for Macy's, right? And Macy's didn't have the particular toy they were looking for. And you could see the Macy's executives were like, well, just tell them to get another toy. Come on, tell them to get another toy. But Santa Claus would say, oh, you know what? Macy's doesn't have that toy, but go over to Gimbel's. Gimbel's has it, right? And, that is leading by values. That is leading by his desire that the child be happy, that the child find happiness in what they really want. It happens sometimes when people feel that they want to move on, for me, when people feel that they want to move on to a different church. I'm not always so graceful about it. I remember one time, where is she? That Bernie Austin tried to move up north. And granted, she moved up there for love, but I think I pitched a little fit. Like, we're going to miss you too much, Bernie. You can't go. I don't care if you're in love. But anyway, that was probably my first or second year. I think I'm a little more mature since then. And if somebody wants to leave the church, whether it's for love, whether it's for distance, whether it's because they don't like me as a minister, whether it's because they found a different teaching, it's like, I want you to be happy. You need to go where you're going to be happy. Are we clinging to people just to support our own ego, or are we just letting them go and do what they need to do in order to be happy, right? And I'm sure we all have examples like that in our lives. That and many other things where we know the right thing to do, and there's part of us that doesn't want to do it because it feels like a risk, and yet we still have to do it because we're being led by our values. We are being led by self-rule, working on ourselves. Swaraj. I'm having so much trouble with my mouth today. I can't say what I want to say, okay, in terms of words in foreign languages. Okay. Maybe I should just say something in Italian. I speak that a lot better. Ho dimenticato molto. How's that? Which means I have forgotten a lot. Okay. All righty. This one is satyagraha. Okay. Now, again, this is translated by many as civil disobedience, or it could mean to abide in external truth, to abide in eternal truth. I know, but it's supposed to be eternal. Who put that X in there? Who messed with my slide? Brian? It was me. I have to be truthful. It was me. It's supposed to say eternal truth. Satya means truth. Agraha means to be firm in truth, to abide in eternal truth. And my brother Nipun wrote this in a speech that he did recently at an activists, heartivists meeting. He said, it calls us, satyagraha calls us to step into seeming opposition without losing the through line to fundamental oneness. Get that? Step into opposition without losing the through line to fundamental oneness. That means that I can approach the person who seems to be against me and know that I'm one with them. Challenging, right? Dr. King named it as being motivated to achieve friendship with those who deny us our rights and to change hearts through friendship. To achieve friendship with those who deny us our rights and to change hearts with that friendship, that is out-of-the-box thinking. I'm not sure if I can forgive the people who criticize Minnie Mouse's ears, much less the people that seem to deny others their rights. That is out-of-the-box thinking. Thank you, Dr. King. Okay? So other thoughts about satyagraha is civil disobedience without remaining civil. You know, and I think I mentioned this last week, but when the British soldiers would push against the Indians in India, they wouldn't budge. They wouldn't budge unless they were pulled away from whatever was they were doing, but they were civil about it. They were civil about it. They weren't violent. They weren't striking back. They were attempting to befriend their captors. Even in jail, Gandhi talks about how he saw jail as a great personal challenge where he could go and he could make friends with everybody, like the other prisoners, like the other guards, right? So that's that, but it's also not to be confused with being a wimp, right? So the people in India that were pushing back with gentleness and kindness, shaking the world in a gentle way, without rage, they were not wimps. Have you noticed that sometimes you have to allow people to have consequences, right? Ultimately, allowed consequences should benefit all. Examples of allowing consequences. Mike Templin here today? Well, he's a big heathen. No. I'm kidding, he's not. Okay. He's what? We're all one anyway. That's right. He's here. Maybe he's watching on television. I'm going to get a letter from him. Uh-oh. And that was supposed to be a two-way slide, so I can't exactly remember what it says under Mike Templin's picture. Boy, what was I thinking when I was making these slides? First I say external instead of eternal, then I plop Mike Templin on top of what I'm supposed to be reading. Okay. Anyway. Oh, thank you. Look at you. Okay. Civil disobedience means being disobedient while remaining civil. Oh, I just said all that, didn't I? Oh, okay, never mind. See what I mean? I promise you. I think I had too many vegetables last night. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, this is my example of civil disobedience. Mike skipped church today. No. No. No, the thing about Mike is that when I first met him years and years ago, one of the early things he told me that I found, and I've always used this example because it was so striking to me. Mike is a former FBI agent. He's a retired FBI agent. And he said when he first started this teaching, he had to be with people who caught people and put them in jail. And he's like, is that their punishment? Is that their punishment? Is this part of our teaching? When he learned to think about it in terms of consequences, it became much easier for him. I just called Mike a girl. Okay. Became much easier for him to think in terms of consequences versus punishment. How many of you here have children, either young children or grown-up children? Don't you sometimes, you have children, what are you talking about? Sometimes don't you allow consequences? Like if you're, say you have a teenager and they hit a car when they're backing out of the driveway. That was me again. So you have a wife who hits the car. And let me just tell you, it wasn't one time. It was 3 times. It was 3 separate cars. Same driveway, 3 separate cars. And it always cracks me up when people tell me after church they park behind now it's my rental car, they park behind my, slightly over the driveway, and they're like, oh, Reverend Bonnie, we parked slightly over your driveway, but you're still able to get around. So I'm like, no, you're a brave soul. And I have a backup camera, but that's a whole other story. Anyway, it's because it's covered with dog slobber. I can't see anything out of it. But anyway, okay, so let's say you have a teenager that backs into something. Wouldn't you, maybe once you help him pay for it, but if he does it more than once, would you possibly encourage him to raise the money to pay for it for himself? That's a consequence, right? And it's probably a worthy consequence to know that our actions, all of our actions, have consequences. So we can allow the consequences of negative actions, but we can also celebrate the consequences of positive actions, right? It's like that. So it's not civil disobedience or satyagraha. Responding in love, loving your enemies doesn't mean being a wimp, but it can mean allowing consequences with love. And ultimately, the consequences benefit all. Okay. Ahimsa is the third principle. Ahimsa is, again, often translated as nonviolence, but folks in the Gandhi tradition, many of them translate it as creative love or soul force, or allowing the force of the true self to come through. Again, Dr. Martin Luther King said, we shift from the darkness of destructive self-will to the light of creative altruism. The light of creative altruism. I think the word there, one of the key words there, besides altruism, is creative. Because so many times we are responding or reacting to life in a knee-jerk reaction, right? If you ever have any doubt about how your brain has patterns and is programmed to repeat patterns, get a rental car. Get a rental car and go to the grocery store. And when you come out of the grocery store, even though your car is some brown thing, you come out of the grocery store and you're looking for your blue Prius for 10 minutes. And you're saying, who stole my car? Because you have forgotten, your neural groove says, look for a blue Prius when you come out of the grocery store. You've forgotten that you've got this brown thing, or I don't even know what color it is. It's mixed. Also try driving a different car over and over again. In my Prius, my emergency brake is here. You step on it, right? This other car, you pull up on something. So I turn off my car, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like kicking the ground like Trigger, trying to put on the emergency brake. I'm like, where is it? Oh, it's here, right? We have neural grooves. So it's a creative response to violence or outrage or polarization or anything that feels like it's against us, anything that offends us. It is finding a creative response. And you know where those creative responses are located? In the divine, in love. And where is the divine? Everywhere, including in here. So we turn within and we can ask ourselves, what is a creative response to this thing that seems to be against me, right? There's a story called The Salt Doll by Sri Ramakrishna. And this salt doll is walking. Let's make her a United States salt doll, because I know that geography the best. Okay, so let's say she starts in, I don't know, someplace foreign like Nebraska, okay? And she walks from Nebraska to the Pacific Ocean, looking for herself. wondering who she is. And then she sees the ocean, and she says, what is this magnificent thing? And the ocean says, why don't you step into me, and you'll find out. And the salt doll steps into the ocean and dissolves. She dissolves a reality of love that is greater than her individual self. And that's what we're called to do in ahimsa. When we turn within and we ask, what would love do? We are called to join, to merge with a reality that is greater than the personal self, greater than the personal ego. Another example of this is Dr. Martin Luther King's mountaintop speech, the speech that he did before he died. I'll paraphrase here. He said, I've been to the mountaintop and I've seen the promised land, and I may not get there with you. But he still did the work, even perhaps intuitively knowing that he would not live to see the fruition of some of his work, because he had merged with something greater than his small personal self. It wasn't about him. It was about not only the good for the people that he was serving, but it was for the good of everyone. Because when we lift up one group of people, we lift everyone up, right? Is ahimsa an impossible sacrifice? I'm willing to bet that everyone here has practiced ahimsa. Everyone here has practiced it. Before I had you raise your hand if you had any children. I also include pets in that. So raise your hand if you have children or pets, or a loved one, or a spouse, or something like that. What? Okay. I'm willing to bet that all of us have made loving sacrifices for our children, and for our pets, and for our plants, and for anything that we love. And when you know that you're really in that flow of ahimsa, it's when you can't really tell who is the giver and who is the receiver. That man holding his little girl, I'm assuming their father and daughter. Who's the giver and who's the receiver there? He's receiving so much from his daughter, and she's receiving so much from him. And that little boy, that's a picture of a young man with cancer in an animal therapy situation. So the cat's getting love from the little boy, but the little boy is getting love from the cat. So ahimsa is a give and take, a constant flow, a Mobius strip of goodness, a Mobius strip of love that goes from one to the other and one to the other and one to the other, and then it starts rippling outwards into more Mobius strips, right? That's what ahimsa is, and we've all done it. And all we need to do is search for where we've done it and then amplify it, do it some more. Ahimsa feels like the mutual flow of blessings. Okay, the last one is sarvodaya. It is to uplift all without exception. Everybody? Yes. Okay. Uplift all without exception. This is a quote from Ray Davis. I believe he was quoting Martin Luther King, or he was paraphrasing Martin Luther King, but I was asking him about something that was troubling me one time. Ray Davis is a man who sings here, and he's getting ready to do a workshop about Kabbalah and Jewish mysticism. And I asked Ray Davis about this particular situation that was troubling me, and he said, the civil rights movement of Martin Luther King's time was right the wrongs and lift everyone up. Right the wrongs and lift everybody up. Also, Vinoba Bhave was a Indian person that followed in Gandhi's footsteps. They called him the spiritual successor of Gandhi. And one of the things that he did after Gandhi's assassination was that he went to landowners all over India to create more equity so that some of the poor people in India could have more land. And he had such ahimsa within him, he had such heart within him, that he would go up to these wealthy landowners and he'd say, "Sir, would you adopt me as your son, as your sixth son?" And they couldn't refuse him. They said, "Yes, yes, we will adopt you." And then he said, "Awesome." Well, he maybe didn't say awesome, but he said, "Great," in Gujarati. He said, "Great." And then, since I'm your sixth son, before waiting until you die to give me a sixth of your land, why don't you give it to me now? And they couldn't say no. And then Vinoba would give it to a person in need of land. And I believe he did that with 5 million acres, which is huge, huge. One man reaching out to many people that some would call greedy, but he befriended them and influenced them to participate in the greater good. They benefited through generosity, through a personal relationship with Vinoba, the people that were served benefited as well. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. And I think some of this seems far-fetched, some of this seems outside of our consciousness. Some of this seems out of my very American consciousness. But I truly believe that we go within and if we ask love, love will show us what to do. And we may not do it all at once, right? But we can take small steps in a positive direction. You may be wondering why I'm closing with a picture of a lizard. Well, it has to do with what I said before about those 4 paradoxes of Jesus and also the 4 Gandhi principles. I'll stick to the Jesus ones because I know those better. Love your enemies, bless those who curse you, do good to them that harm you, and pray for meanies, okay? Pray for big meanies. Sometimes when I can't sleep at night, I watch old YouTubes or new YouTubes. I just watch YouTube, short little YouTube vignettes, which is awesome. It always works. It always puts me to sleep. But this one kept me awake because I loved it so much. It was a YouTube of children doing show and tell with their pets. This one little kid had a Great Dane that was about 3 times bigger than he was. It was awesome. He was pulling him all over the stage. This other kid had a kitty cat that was like a sofa cushion. The cat could be passed around to anybody. This other kid had a little puppy that could do tricks already at a young age. This one little boy had a lizard. And he had this lizard in a terrarium. And he had worms that he was going to feed the lizard in front of his classmates. And he said to this little girl sitting next to him, I'm going to open the cage. Don't worry, but he might jump out on you. Guess what the little girl's response was? She said, I want him to jump out on me. So will there come a day when we are excited by loving our enemies, by blessing those who curse us, by praying for those who are meanies, and by doing good to those who harm us, who hurt us? There may be a day when we want those people to jump out on us because we say, oh, wow, this is a great day to practice. This is a great day to practice being zero. This is a great day to practice my non-reactivity. This is a great day to anchor myself in the field of love and to know that I am loved right here and right now and that this love is inclusive of everybody. And the love that we practice together, the love that we practice as this person, as I sidestep whatever this person is throwing at me, so he's just punching at air, and I love him anyway. Maybe this love is the love that the world needs, the exact love that the world needs, that tipping point that the world needs to be blessed and to be loved and to be a great place for everyone. So together, let us read this together. Here we go. As we grow in heartivism, we welcome life's lizards. We love our enemies, bless those who curse us, do good to those who hate us, and pray for big meanies. And so it is. Thank you so much, everyone. Namaste. Thank you. Okay. All right. Let us pray. We turn within just to trust and know that the power and the presence of the living God is here right now with each of us, expressing itself through all of us. That power that is love, that is justice, that is grace, that is goodness, that power that includes all opposites, that includes all opposition. That power is here right now, right now, right now, expressing in each of our hearts. And together we look within and see how it is already expressed within us, how we have been able to sidestep any sense of adversity and just know that everything is a gift and everything is a blessing. We anchor into that spaciousness and then we amplify it through our connection to God, through our knowing of God, and through our oneness with that power and that presence. And so here in this space, I trust that we have all transformed, that we have all opened our hearts to greater love, that we know what to do when we rely on God, that we constantly turn within and ask, what would love do? And that this lovingness, this willingness to practice self-love blesses us, blesses all of us, blesses the world, blesses the cosmos. How beautiful it is to participate in this dance of love with all beings everywhere. And so I give thanks for it. I give thanks for transformation. I give thanks for everyone who has said yes to church this morning. Thank you so much for sharing your energy with us, because we are here together creating a cosmic soup that works together to bless the entire world. I bless this spiritual teaching as I bless all paths to God, churches, synagogues, temples, mosques, ashrams, gurdwaras, fundamentalists, atheists, agnostics. I bless all beings everywhere. And with a heart so filled with blessedness, I say thank you, Spirit, thank you, love. And I release these words into the divine mystery. And together we say, and so it is. Namaste. Thank you. Hi.
Hello again.
Hello.
Well, Bonnie, I love when you give us a nice to-do list.
Thank you.
And sometimes it feels like a tall order,
It
but
is.
I think it's really important to ask for help when you need it. And I'm going to set that example because I don't have my prayer cheat sheet
Oh,
for the
okay.
offering.
Okay.
So I know the wonderful tech team
Yes.
will put that up for me while I'm stalling. I just want to say Mike Templin was one of the first practitioners I met.
Uh-huh.
I'm really glad I didn't know he was an FBI agent.
Why? What did you do? Oh, okay. Well, wait,
I can't tell.
Okay.
So that is a simple way of knowing that we are all in this together, and that sometimes these messages may feel a little too big, but big and small, we're all here to help each other and to support each other. So don't forget to ask for prayer, talk with someone, take a class. This is how we create community, and it truly is a beautiful community that will support you. So this morning, I invite you to place your offering over your heart and repeat after me. We trust in spirit.
We trust in spirit.
Love is a giver and receiver of all that we are.
Love is the giver and receiver of all that we are.
We offer this gift.
We offer this gift.
It is an outer expression of our inner abundance and compassion.
It is an outer expression of our inner abundance and compassion.
Our gifts bless many
Our gifts bless many
and return to us multiplied in miraculous ways,
and return to us multiplied in miraculous ways,
so that we may give again.
so that we may give again.
And so it is.
And so it is. Thank you.
I'm gonna bring my heart and all that's in it, pumping love every second and every minute. Gonna do what I'm here to do, at least begin it. Gonna bring love to the world. Gonna bring my truths and words of letters
You wrote it? Okay. Okay. Just wanted to acknowledge David Kerrigan, who wrote that song. Thank you. Okay. I was looking down when the first slide came up, so I wasn't sure. Okay. All righty. So just a few announcements for you. Let's see. There's additional information about all of this on the website. So I'm going to go pretty quick today because we have an annual meeting after this. But let me start by dedicating the flowers. Okay, the suspense is killing me. All right. All right. Okay. For your devotion to our beloved community, you embody everything that is right in the world. We love and appreciate you so much, Lonnie Cassidy. Our board president, thank you. Okay, we got some ambassadors here today. It looks like Lacey, and I heard of two others run around too. Oh, Mark's up there. Hi, Mark. And Mark, okay. And Michael, although Michael's going like this. So anyway, those are folks that help you if you're new. Like if you don't know where the bathroom is, if you want to know when the church was built, if you want to guess my weight, they can help you with all of that, okay? I'm not telling, by the way. Okay, annual meeting is today after the service. It's at about 11:30, and there's a sign-in place for that. It's go through that doors, and you'll see it. There'll be people manning that table, and you need to sign in for it. It's technically for voting members, but if you're not a member, come anyway. If you want to find out more about the church, just make sure you don't vote. Okay, we're only voting for one thing, and I think it's going to be a landslide. Anyway, okay, there's a class coming up. It's by Ray Davis, and he is exploring a new lifelong spiritual advancement anchored by the Kabbalistic tree of life. That's going to be a workshop on March 12th. There is more information on that. Ray Davis is one of our fantastic musicians, and he's just a beautiful soul. Just love him so much. And then, is there a choir rehearsal today? Probably not, right? Okay, no choir today, but join the choir if you want to. Come next week and they'll be rehearsing after service. We've got Sunday hospitality through that door and through that door. Also a bookstore. We've got all kinds of things either for sale or for priceless pricing. By the way, if I ordered a t-shirt like this, would you buy them? Would you like them? Okay. All right. That's on my to-do list. Okay, and then what else? Just one more thing. If you're seeking prayer, if you're seeking any spiritual guidance in your life or prayer, come and see one of our practitioners, okay? They can do 1-minute miracles down here in front. They're wearing white stoles, and they are fantastic prayers. You'll love having a prayer with them, okay? So I think that's all I got for now. And let us go ahead and we'll do a quick benediction and then celebrate. Here we go. And so I just turn within and just remember that love has brought us here today and that love goes with us as we go our separate ways. How beautiful it is to be together. And once again, I thank everyone who showed up today with open hearts and open minds, and even those who didn't have open hearts and open minds. I bless everybody sitting here in this sacred sanctuary and beyond, and those that are watching us on Zoom or Facebook, YouTube. Just filled with love for this beautiful congregation and this beautiful center, this community that we are creating together that gently shakes the world. And so I trust that each of us go with exactly what we needed to enhance our lives, to be a greater source of blessing, not only for ourselves and for the entire world. And with a deep sense of gratitude for all that has happened today and all that is yet to be, I say thank you, Spirit, thank you, love, thank you, God, and I release these words into the divine mystery. And together we say, and so it is.